And the Goat House is back with another podcast episode. Check us out on YouTube. You can search the Goat House pretty much anywhere. Podcast, YouTube, Twitter. You'll find us always talking NFL and more. Today's episode, here we are in the middle of the off season, the middle of a pandemic, and we have not a whole bunch going on, but we're taking questions from our Twitter, and a lot of you tweeted at us, and we're actually going to go.
Wait a minute. I got a question. I think we're on the podcast. I think this needs to be settled. Has the Goat House ever even left?
It's true.
To be back.
We're just always back, though.
Okay.
Right.
All right, then.
Does that make any
That's
sense?
fair.
I don't know.
We're never gone, but we're always back. Makes sense.
Yeah. But, yeah, a lot of you, I made a post on Twitter asking for questions, and that's what we're going to do here on this episode. And we'll be tweeting about, further videos that you guys can be involved in and podcasts as well. So make sure you follow that Twitter at GoatHouse NFL. And we're going to shout out these people that sent us their questions. A lot of good ones here. A lot of good ones. We're going to break them down. I think we should just get right into it. First one here, I'm going most recent. We got Uncommon Man at Uncommon Man Pod. So it sounds like he's got his own podcast. You can check him out there on Twitter. Why does it seem like Broncos and Vikings fans get along so well? You're obviously a hardcore Purple fan. He's talking about me. I'm Riz is a Vikings fan. We got Junior's a Bears fan. Danny's a Bears fan. And we got Pigskin is a Titans fan here, if you guys didn't know. So you're obviously a hardcore Purple fan, but there's a slew of Broncos fans that frequent the pod as well as other Vikings channels. It's an interesting question. I don't know if there's actually that much of a connection. I don't know. Maybe just I think we got a lot of Broncos followers right now because I'm kind of hyping up the Broncos. Unlike most of the world, I think that they got a pretty good team. I think you guys have as well. I think every time we bring up like a surprise team or a team that's doing well throughout the offseason or improving, I feel like you guys are kind of bringing up the Broncos as well. So I think that's the thing about the YouTube. You just start like hyping up a team or you start believing in a team. I think more of those fans are going to come in. They want to hear positives. I do give negatives for every team fan base.
Yeah, we're not like Good Morning Football over here giving kudos to every team. Yeah. We like to keep it clean.
Keep it clean.
I don't know if it's clean, but I feel like good. Yeah,
you had me there.
Yeah, that sounded good. I think, Good Morning Football, like every episode, they're picking a new team to win the Super Bowl.
It's a little ridiculous.
I feel like, we might have more subscribers on YouTube if I talk about only positives from every team, because somebody hears a positive, they go and subscribe, but I don't know. I'm keeping it real. We're keeping it real. We're keeping it clean, like Danny said.
Well, we're speaking of Good Morning Football. We're going to bash Good Morning Football, but
okay.
They brought up a good topic that we could maybe discuss real quick, but they said they're asking which team is going to be like the next dynasty, like it's going to start the next dynasty, and Nate Burles had said the Dolphins. I don't know how he says the Dolphins for that, but
got a lot of picks, a lot of new guys. Maybe he's a believer in
sorry,
Tua.
Dolphins fans.
Well, here's the obvious answer. It's the Dolphins' day. It's their time for them to talk about it. So
Yes.
he had to pick the Dolphins.
That's what it is. But anyways, you
point.
guys
Yeah,
have a
good
take on it? I feel like there's some easy teams to pick. You could easily pick the Chiefs. Can just start a dynasty right now.
It's hard to believe, but what about our man Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals? Can they continue to build around him? Joe Burrow leading the way. They've drafted pretty well the last couple of years. It's kind of gone unnoticed because there's a lot of weak spots on that team. So they're still kind of building, and you don't really notice those guys. Mainly on the defensive side, guys like Jesse Bates stepping up. They've drafted quite a few linebackers the last couple of years, waiting for those guys to step up in this last year. But those guys, could start to step up now, and they got some young, Joe Mixon, very solid running back, Tyler Boyd, really improving every single year. Yeah, I like the Bengals. They can continue to draft around Joe Burrow, and it could work out.
But to be a dynasty, though?
Yeah,
it's too early. It's kind
of
like the Dolphins one.
Yeah. But
you could easily say the Chiefs, like they got the best quarterback in the game. Like we always talk about, Mahomes is. We're not calling him the best quarterback of all time, but he has the ability to do it.
But
The Chiefs can easily build around him. You see, like they draft well. and they could like replace players just like the Patriots were able to do. You could already see that happening with the Chiefs. Like I think that's the easy answer.
What if Joe Burrow his game just translate like that?
Well, yeah, he could be like Mahomes. Like he could be like just an X factor that just takes the game over and just makes his team so much better. But like we don't even know yet.
Yeah.
I mean that's I mean I'm a big Joe Burrow believer, but can't say it yet. I mean I can't say it yet. We got to see what happens. But I mean I just think the Chiefs are by far like the best pick to be the next dynasty in the NFL.
I would agree with that.
I mean, you could pick other teams. You could pick you could think the
Ravens,
Ravens.
maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Ravens could be the next one. You could think the Niners could be the next one.
Well, I think Burleson's I think it's almost a question that you have to give an answer that's bold. Like you almost have to because I don't know. It's because you're thinking the next dynasty. Yeah, I mean, you're looking future. Obviously, it doesn't have to be like right now. I mean, I guess if the Chiefs win this year, they're touching cloth then, so they're right there. It's an easy answer.
What does that mean
I think
exactly?
They're right there, close to a dynasty. I don't know. I
they're
got
just
nothing.
getting started. I mean, just think about
No, I
the
mean they're
Patriots
not
with
over it, but I'm saying they're right
That's
there
what I'm
for
saying.
being a dynasty. Like they're
you know
already.
the Patriots. Like when they won their first Super Bowl, you weren't thinking like probably back then you weren't really thinking the Patriots are gonna be like the next. They're gonna like take over the next whatever years, 15 years. But
Are you guys saying that the Patriots dynasty is over?
oh, it's over.
But
They
when
still
will it
got
be
Bill.
back? When will it be back though?
After
Don't
they get the
know.
first pick of the draft?
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be back. It's gonna be a new dynasty.
But anyways, I threw my own question in there. Not my own question. Good
We
morning.
kind of
football
didn't answer
question.
the original question. I don't really have an answer though. Like, seems like Broncos and Vikings fans get along. I don't know.
I think Broncos fans
Gary
get along with
Kubiak?
everybody because
I don't
there's
think. Yeah.
there's
They're
a
they're
Twitter
good people.
there's a Twitter account that I follow that's like Bears Reddit that's on Twitter, oddly enough. And the Broncos version of that, so the Broncos Reddit Twitter and the Bears Reddit Twitter always have conversations with each other. I mean, I think they've swapped some players in recent
And
past.
swap
Maybe
saliva.
that's why. Yeah, swap
All
saliva
right,
too.
all right. I got a question. I'm adding a question here. This one's mainly for Danny since he's a Bears season ticket holder. Which fan base is at the top of your shit list going into 2020 season? Just based on recent events, maybe not the friendliest fan base. Obviously, that could change any game, but just as of right now. And the Bears didn't
I'm
play.
still salty at Packers fan. I had a specific Packers fan. I can't say all Packers fans because I'm friends with Packers fans, but I was at this was a couple years ago, Bears versus Cardinals, in Arizona, and there was a Packers fan there, and we're walking out of the stadium, and he's basically dropping some strong language towards like me and my family as we're like leaving the game.
You could say it on the pod.
Oh,
No, I'm not gonna say this language.
This might go
No,
to
it's-
YouTube, so be careful.
Yeah, but and wasn't it this? I think it was the same day. Wasn't it like that? What was the game where you said you were gonna eat your underwear, Mar?
Oh, that was
Riz?
Bills Vikings.
No, wasn't there one versus Packers too, where the Packers lost to the Bills as well, or something like that? The Packers lost to somebody crazy. It was like the same day as that. Packers lost to somebody that they should not have lost to, and it was the same day this Packers fan was just, as we're exiting after the Bears came back and won that game, he was just talking shit to our faces, and we didn't even bring anything up to him. He just saw we were wearing Bears stuff and he started talking shit.
Oh, he's
So
the shit
I'm still
talker,
pretty
starter.
salty, but yeah, I'm still salty about that.
All right.
But that's all I got. I don't know. Am I missing a team that I should be talking shit about?
Oh, I don't know.
Is there a fan base that scares you, Dan?
Eagles fans.
Eagles fans. Yeah, it's a pretty rowdy bunch over there. Pretty rowdy. Yeah. I don't, they're not on my shit list. We'll see. We'll see when we get close to the season. I might have a better answer.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Javier Carrera with the next question. His Twitter handle, Javier C9. It's a bunch of numbers. C9906245. Yeah.
Many other ones, huh?
Yeah. How many games do you think Tyrod Taylor starts before he loses his job? So, maybe you think it's none because they got Justin Herbert. They drafted 6th overall. What do you guys think? How many games do you think Tyrod Taylor starts before he loses his job?
Set the over-under. Let's set an over-under.
I think he starts week 1. I think it's I think it's 4.
Taking. Ooh.
I'm going
So that's-
Well,
over.
that was my prediction.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over. I'm
That
gonna
was
take
my
the over.
prediction. Over under might be like 5,
Thinking like 6.
5 or 6. Well,
I
you know
hope
the
he starts
What
the
if
whole
he looks
season.
good? What
I'll
if he
take the
looks
over.
good?
Here's the problem: the
I think
Chargers
he's gonna
never
put-
start good. Like, and I think they got a tougher schedule. I don't know the top of my head, but I did go through all the record predictions on YouTube. But, yeah, they could start a little slow, perhaps. There's games that can go either way up there, actually. But, yeah, what if they pull a Chargers? Maybe it's not Tyrod's fault. It's just the Chargers' way. They start 0-4 or 1-3. We'll say 1-3. You know, do they like? All right, I think it's time for Justin Herbert. I don't know. So I'm saying 4 or 5 around there.
Yeah.
Even though he's better than that, you put that label on a quarterback. He starts 4 or 5, then gets benched. You automatically think he's a pretty bad quarterback. I think he's better than that. I think there's gonna be more to blame at that point. I also think that's why I don't agree. I mean, you draft a quarterback 6th overall. You know, in the back of their minds, they're planning on starting him at some point this season. And if you think that, you should just start him week 1. I just don't. I never understood that. So I think they have a better chance of winning with Tyrod Taylor. But if they drafted a guy 6th overall, they believe in him. They think the plan is that he'll play at some point this year. You might as well just start him week 1. I really think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm sticking with the 4.
It's gonna be
range.
so sad. It's gonna be so sad that Tyrod has 2 different situations where he just comes in thinking he's the guy, and then they draft it. Oh my! They draft someone who's just gonna take his spot.
I could see Herbert starting week 1 too. Just kind of thinking, going back to last year, which the Chargers had they had high hopes, and then Phillip Rivers was pretty much a disaster. I mean, we got primetime games against the Raiders, and he's throwing picks left and right. At that point where maybe the season's still alive, it's not looking good. They had a chance to put Tyrod Taylor because the defense is playing good enough. I think the weapon, Melvin Gordon was a little off because they a little rusty. But everyone else playing fine. Offensive line could have been a little better, but they had their chance to put Tyrod Taylor, and they didn't even. It felt like they didn't even think about it. So not showing a whole bunch of trust. So maybe Herbert's just their guy. Tyrod just their backup. It's possible. So I'd say, yeah, I'd put the over/under at around 4, maybe 5, because it could be 0. He could. Yeah, like I said, it could be Herbert. That's a good one. It's a good-looking question.
That's a great looking
Good
question.
looking question.
Ezekiel Gonzalez and I can't pronounce people's names. I apologize. Zeke Gonzalez 01 is the Twitter handle. Top 5 Super Bowls that you've watched. There's 2 questions. There's a 2-parter. We'll just answer that one first. Top 5 Super Bowls that you've watched. That's tough to think.
The
Just
Falcons, Patriots.
Off the top of my head, that's really tough.
Falcons, Patriots. The Patriots come back. I actually picked the Falcons to win that Super Bowl before the playoffs started, so I was kind of rooting for the Falcons only for that reason. But it was pretty ridiculous to see the Patriots come back like that. Like, that's like once in a lifetime moment. I mean, the Patriots run the Super Bowl so many damn times that they're all probably Patriots games. I'd say that the 2 Patriots-Giants games, which the Giants won both, I think those were some pretty ridiculous games, pretty entertaining games, those battles. So I definitely say, I mean, seeing the Patriots-Eagles shootout a few years ago was pretty great as well. Yeah, those would probably make the top of my list, top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think of like Super Bowls and like most memorable.
Steelers-Cardinals. Steelers-Cardinals was fantastic.
Yeah, I was about to say that one. Steelers Cardinals is always comes to mind with San Antonio Holmes catching that ball in the back of the end zone.
Ooh.
Yeah, you already said.
Think about the
Junior
pick
already
6 before halftime there.
Yeah, Junior already said
yeah.
Patriots Falcons. That one comes to mind just because like I just remember just like I usually watch the Super Bowl and I was like thinking like I was very close to like just walking away and stop watching because the Patriots were just getting beat so bad and they just came back and won that, which is ridiculous. And then I always think of you already said that too, those Giants Patriots battles. And then also Patriots Seahawks too, where Malcolm Butler picked that ball off at the goal line. That's
Oh my God. Yeah.
always one that comes to mind too.
I mean, I'm gonna obviously, even though they lost, I'm gonna take the Bears Colts as one of my favorites, just because. I mean, it's not every day you get to see your a team you're a fan of in there? Unless you're a Patriots fan, I guess.
Yeah, there's actually a reply to that person's question. David Carrero replied, "Best Super Bowl for me was Colts versus Bears. I'm very biased. Peyton, Urlacher, and Hester in the same stadium. In the
Yep.
fire
I
emoji."
just that kick return right off the bat was, oh my, like the goosebumps were insane. It was crazy. Oh man. Good times.
Yeah.
What about Broncos Seahawks?
Yeah.
I was kidding. 43-8. 43-8.
Most heartbreaking moment for same person asking most heartbreaking moment for your team, whether it was a playoff loss, death of a team legend, etc. For me it was a lot of heartbreaking moments as a Vikings fan. I mean the recent one against the Eagles. I mean it was that one. It's weird because like you think it's the year, so that's why it hurts. But that game was over so fast that I was pretty over it. I was over it faster than you would think. When it's a tight game and you have a chance and you lose kind of at the end because of some crazy play. That one the games like that stick with me forever. But yeah, when the Vikings lost with Case Keenum to the Eagles, that was the most recent. The year with Brett Favre and the loss to the Saints. Because that game went to overtime, could have went either way, and I once again thought that was the year. I was actually only 7 years old in the '98 NFC Championship game, but I remember it pretty clearly. The NFC Championship game, Vikings versus Falcons. Basically, the Vikings hit a field goal, they go to the Super Bowl. It wasn't the last seconds, but if they hit the field goal, they go to the Super Bowl. Gary Anderson, who's arguably one of the best kickers of all time and who didn't miss a kick all that season, missed a chip shot field goal. So that was pretty brutal for, I think, most Vikings fans, and that could have been a Vikings-Broncos Super Bowl it would have been. So, yeah, a lot of heartbreaking moments. I think
there's a few for Bears too. I mean, obviously you have the double doink. I was literally right there.
Yeah.
You could watch the video and see me like my entire soul ripped out. And then I forgot what year it was, but Bears Packers, what was it, NFC Championship game, I want to say, possibly, when Packers won. I don't remember. It's a while back, but Rodgers threw that like 40-yard pass to a wide open Randall Cobb for a touchdown. That was pretty bad too.
I mean, there's a lot. I can keep ripping more off of the Vikings. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater getting hurt on a fluke injury in practice. I mean, that one. I mean, I literally wanted to cry. What else we got? Yeah, a lot of unfortunate injuries and.
I think the game where I think Danny's talking about the same game, but where Jay Cutler like was hurt and everyone thought he can go back in the game, and he just felt like he gave up on the team, and that was kind of just, I don't know. That sucked.
He had like a broken thumb or something like that, and everyone's like,
yeah.
"Get back in the game! Like you should. You were still on the sideline, but apparently you couldn't grip the ball." I think you talked about that recently.
Yeah, but like obviously after the fact, but like in that moment, it was heartbreaking because I'm just like, this guy looks perfectly fine. Like, get in the game, dude. Why is Caleb Haney out there? It was god awful.
Caleb Haney.
Let's give it.
Yeah, it really
shouts
goes to
out
show
to
how important a backup quarterback is in the NFL.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
if your quarterback goes down, everything's done. Everything's over.
It's done.
I mean, look at the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl. They just had Nick Foles just waiting, and now he's a Bear.
Yeah, but that guy's also a starter.
Yeah, that's a starter.
Yeah.
It's a top tier starter
They
right
had
there.
a really good the best backup possible, and it worked out.
Hey, you better take that back before you get bashed in the comments.
Yeah.
Unless you believe it, then I'm
For
gonna
the Titans,
slap you in the rump.
I was almost like too young for the Super Bowl where they were a yard short, so like that one didn't really affect me because I wasn't like, I think that was like the first year I was a Titans fan actually too, but I don't know, it just didn't really.
Fairweather fan?
Not a Fairweather fan. I was like 5 years old.
Fairweather 5-year-old.
6 years old. But like the one that really like hurts the most was 2008 when they were the 1 seed in the divisional round. They played the Ravens, and that's like when rookie Joe Flacco just beat us, and it was just ridiculous. Like all the calls they were getting, like that one just made me so mad. I thought they were the 1 seed, so I thought they were going all the way.
Kerry Collins.
Kerry Collins was leading us. He was such a beast that year. Kerry Collins and Chris Johnson and Lendale White. What a squad.
Glendale White.
Wow.
How can I forget about Glendale
What a
White?
squad. Offense.
That's a squad.
We got another
Yeah, but
question
that one.
here. We got at Nice's Doom. This is actually our Oregon insider. Who will put up better touchdown interception numbers this season? Kirk Cousins or Nick Foles? And he's actually added question from our Nice's Doom Oregon insider.
Oh, so you didn't have to say that. He
Yeah.
gave himself the credit.
He's giving out credit to himself. We got Kirk Cousins, Nick Foles.
I think this is an easy answer. I think it's actually not without Diggs. That's gonna be tough.
So, yeah, that's
But
a-
I would
this is a
still
good
say
answer.
Kirk Cousins will have the
Yeah, I say
better
Kirk has a better
ratio.
ratio because he doesn't throw enough interceptions. When he does throw an interception, it looks pretty bad though, but he doesn't throw a lot of them.
Fumbles more than he throws interceptions.
Right.
So, yeah, I'll take Cousins.
Cousins.
Yeah, I'll take Cousins too.
Yeah, sorry.
I think Foles will have actually a surprisingly pretty Bears just need a consistent quarterback. That's all they need.
There was a reply to
Consistency.
that saying, "Well, Foles is just lucky he's on the Bears. He gets to avoid the best defense in the league."
That's a true point.
I mean, yeah. Truer words have never been spoken. Wow.
Next question. It's another has to do with the Bears here. Has to do
I
with
love
Nick
it.
Foles. From Mitch Foles at Mitch Foles.
Interesting.
Who do you think wins the quarterback battle for the Bears?
Well, I gotta break it to you down real simply. The quarterback controversy has already been solved. Foles will be the starter week 1. Bring it to the bank.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. And there's people that still believe Trubisky can be, and there's all this talk about the open competition, but I just don't. Nagy, there's no way Nagy. In Nagy's mind, Nick Foles is starting. Now, I don't know if somehow, some way, somebody can override his decision, which would be hard to believe, but he kind of had to not close it completely, but it felt like he kind of had to close his playbook or rip it in half maybe last year, and he wasn't happy about it. No man wants to call that many screens. I've talked about this before, or play call that way. He felt like he almost had to, and he needs a quarterback that's going to fit his system. And I think that trade was basically Matt Nagy going out and finding his quarterback. Now, I think Trubisky can start games this year because you do worry about Foles' injury, but I think, I'm on board with the rest of the guys. Foles wins the quarterback battle.
Yeah, I'm on board. But
He won it. No, he already
Yeah,
won
you
it.
want it?
To me, it's weird. What's the worst case scenario is that if Trubisky's the starter, he obviously outplays Foles in camp, in preseason. So that's not. I don't see a downside to either way.
I think we talked about this before, but you guys think Trubisky starts week 1 of preseason? I think he does.
Probably.
I think he
I
does.
would say probably.
If I'm Nagy, I'm giving Trubisky most of the reps in preseason. You
Well,
want
it's going to be a whole thing too, because we heard Nagy say a million times that he's actually starting the starters in preseason because he's well known for not playing them at all. So I think at week 1 preseason, Trubisky's the starter. Everyone's going to be thinking that's a lock. He's the guy. So I can actually see that Trubisky starting. People kind of getting a little confused, but Foles starting actual week 1.
Yeah, I think it's a legit QB competition, like they're saying, but I still think Nick Foles gets the advantage. If Trubisky outplays Nick Foles maybe by a little bit in camp and preseason, they're still going to give it to Foles, but it has to be pretty drastic for them to go with Trubisky. If that makes sense.
Trubisky's getting the first snap.
That's what I mean. I feel like it's a legit QB competition, but Trubisky really has to prove himself in order to be the starter. I think Nick Foles
he has to exceed expectations.
That's what I'm saying.
Drastically.
Yeah. I see what
Which
you're
I
saying.
I like Mitch. I like him as a person. I like him as a leader of that team. He just obviously wasn't playing to the capabilities that we drafted him for. Does he have it in him? Possibly.
He's
maybe
football
a different
young,
system?
Dan. He's football young.
Yeah, but is it a system thing? I think that's mostly what we're seeing here. It's a system thing. I don't think the system fit the quarterback.
I think it's a skill set thing, honestly.
He could be a little bit of both.
His footwork. You can just look at his footwork alone and just tell he's not comfortable. That's the only if you only look at his footwork, he's not comfortable.
I get
quarterback
that
in the league.
argument, but sometimes you have to understand, like, there's still quarterbacks in the league who don't have perfect footwork, who still, like,
I'm not
everything's
saying
overanalyzed
perfect.
for Mitch. Everything
I'm
is
not saying perfect.
overanalyzed. He makes a bad throw, everything's, oh, look at this footwork. Obviously, that needs to be worked on, but there's also some quarterbacks that have unorthodox ways of throwing the ball, and it still works for them. I don't
I
know. I
get
think
it,
he's in
but
his own
you
head.
just got to be yeah. It's confidence. His biggest issue is confidence.
Yeah.
And as much as they say like, oh yeah, he's blocking out the noise, it's
You can't
impossible
be
for
deaf to
somebody
that.
who
You
has
can't be deaf
talked
to it.
about that much. Like they made it such a big deal last year. You remember where they're just like, oh yeah, we turned off the TVs in the facility. It's like what? Like who needs to make a big deal out of that? It was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I
Yeah.
don't know. I just
Well,
they
okay.
they've been trying to baby him too long. So
We're going on the next question here. We got
good,
yes
good.
sir at Rhett B12 at Rhett B12.
And it's another Bears question. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you think having a veteran team or having a good head coach benefits more from the coronavirus? Do you think having
Wow.
All right, so wait.
So is it between it's
I
between
mean,
veteran team or a good head coach? It's between those two
yeah.
things.
I kind of talked about
Yeah,
this.
I guess.
I was kind of talking about this a little bit already, but um, I don't know. I just think teams that kept like the same core together, like of players, have a big advantage going into this year, just because there's no off-season program to get everyone up to speed. I mean, there is an off-season program, but it's virtual. It's definitely a lot different, like doing it virtually and actually like doing it on the field and repping it out over and over again and getting comfortable with everyone building chemistry. So I think like the teams that have kept their so I'm basically going with veteran team is probably more important. You could have like a great coach this offseason. Like this team could have a great coach, but they went through a lot of changes. Like that team's not going to perform as good as the team that is kept the same. It's a veteran team.
I could kind of argue both sides. Yeah, because thinking team, somebody that's like, got the chemistry and played well last year and like still has that same team. Yeah, it might be easy to prepare for them. But then you got those teams that like you just have no idea like what to expect. Like how do we game plan against them, and they just kind of just might hit you out of nowhere. So those teams actually might be tough to play as well. And then you could argue, yeah, veterans versus the young guys. Is it going to be harder for the older guys to kind of get back in the groove without much of an offseason program? Some guys don't take part of that anymore anyway, since they did it for so long. Sometimes the young athletic guys can just step in and just be as good. They don't really have to do anything, So I kind of can argue both sides. But to answer the question, do you think having a veteran team or having a good head coach benefits more? Yeah, I mean, it's very important to have a good coach, but the players itself is the most important thing. So I think just having a veteran team, that's what I would say.
I'd agree with veteran team. I think the veteran vets know how to prepare themselves for the season. They know how to get their body in shape. They know what they're doing. You see on Twitter and Instagram them, working out at their house. So I think they know what they're doing. Whereas if you just have a, younger team with a solid head coach, you could say all the right things, but is the team going to do it? More likely going to see that from the vets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would side with everything you guys are saying.
We got our next
There
question.
there is arguments both ways.
Bang Dingu. Are Philip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon the best running back duo in the league? And somebody replied,
The gruesome twosome.
Somebody replied, Chubb and Hunt ? So best running back duo in the league. Is it Lindsey Gordon? Is it Chubb Hunt? Is it somebody else? That's basically the question.
I think Chubb and Hunt are better.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think both are really good.
Yeah.
We didn't really see all too much. I mean, he was suspended for quite a while last season too, right? But Kareem Hunt, he was one of the best running backs in the game, and then everything happened, and then his touches obviously went down. So I would lean with them, but we didn't see much of Hunt in that offense last year. I mean, we had glimpses,
Yeah,
but
that's tough.
it was mainly relied on Chubb.
I think, Stefanski coming in there in the Browns, he likes to run the ball, likes to throw the ball to the back. So, I mean, Chubb and Hunt are going to get a lot. I mean, look at Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison last year. I mean, they could be not the top, but I guess considered in a top 5 or so, I guess, running back duo. And now that coordinator is with the Browns, with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. They're going to get a lot of action. And then the thing with the Broncos is, though, I think Melvin with the Broncos do. I think Melvin Gordon plays a lot better this year than I think he was off his game last year. A lot of fumbles, looked a little rusty. It felt
Number change.
Number change. Felt like they were giving the ball to Eckler when they should have been giving it to Gordon. They were giving it to Gordon when they should have been giving it to Eckler. They felt like they were backwards. So I think, and then Shermer is the offense coordinator there for Denver too. I like that for them. Lindsey and Gore. Ooh, that's tough. I think the easy choice is Chubb and Hunt, but again, I think Melvin Gordon plays more like the Melvin Gordon we know and love this year with Phillip Lindsay. I mean, you can argue Kamara and Latavius Murray probably as well. Yeah, I'd still probably go Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, but that's good. That's good. I think it's really close because I think Gordon plays better this year than he did last year. So, are we all in agreement? We're all in agreement there.
I think we're pretty much all in agreement.
We're in agreement. The Buccaneers, Ronald Jones and Keyshawn Vaughn. We're all in agreement.
No.
Or Derrick Henry and Darrington Evans.
Okay, all right. What do we got next? Xander Zupon at Xander Zupon. Is Matthew Stafford the true dark horse MVP candidate this year? I feel like we're talking about that every year. I think somebody brings that up every single year. That Stafford.
So is it a dark horse then?
No.
I feel like people I don't know. I feel like every offseason everyone's like, Stafford, this is the year. He's a top 10 quarterback. He would have been last year if this didn't happen. I feel like it's every single year. I think he's going to start the year off real strong. I'm not saying he's going to get hurt again, but it feels like it's just inconsistency down the stretch of the season usually. I mean, if you say, I don't know. I
mean, you could say anyone's a dark horse, really, but does he have it in him? I think he has it in him, for sure. It all depends on their team's record, how they perform, and obviously if he stays healthy.
Yeah.
He's got weapons around him. I mean, I'm going to continue
weapons
to
you say healthy
just...
though too, because Marvin Jones been hurt, Kerryon Johnson's been hurt. I know they added DeAndre Swift, but they got old man Amendola as their receiver 3, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm going to continue to say that Russell Wilson is my dark horse until he gets at least a MVP vote. 0 career MVP votes.
That's a dark horse right there.
That's enough to be a dark horse to me.
Are we going to allow it? I think we'll allow it.
I'm gonna
0
allow
votes. He's got 0 votes.
All right, we'll allow it. Moving on, David Carrero. He's the Bears guy. He's back. We got, do you think Akeem Hicks, to get back to being the impact player he was before last season? And if so, how do you think the Quinn, Mack, and Hicks pass rush will develop? Bears guy.
If he stays healthy,
that pass rush is going to be nasty.
If those 3 stay healthy, it's the Bears defense is back. I mean, they were very good last year, but we're talking like from 2 years ago where it's going to be creating interceptions, creating fumbles, things like that. Obviously, you can't count on that, but Hicks is one of the most underrated players in the NFL. Adding Robert Quinn only makes that defense better because as soon as Akeem Hicks was hurt last year, Khalil Mack was getting triple team, double team on every single play. So it can't hurt. It can't hurt.
But so the first question, do you think Hicks gets back to being an impact player?
Yes.
I think he's got it's possible. Yeah, I think so. He's hungry for it.
He's
See him
hungry.
on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big
I
boy.
think so.
Of course he's hungry.
I think so too, but I mean, you always worry about it. I mean, how old is he now?
I think he got in the league when he was already like kind of older too, so that was kind of the tough part. But because he was.
You just worry about that.
He was on the Saints and the Patriots already, and I think he is 30 years old right now. So he's got some juice. He's got some juice.
Yeah, I think he'll be an impact player, and then I think to answer the second part too, I think it should be pretty easy to develop as one of the best like units in the league. I mean, I think that's like one thing. We were talking about like having chemistry and consistency. I feel like D-line and like edge rushers don't really need. I mean, you guys could argue against this, but I feel like they don't need as much chemistry as like quarterbacks and receivers or like a secondary. A secondary needs to be able to communicate without even communicating like where they need to be, like coverages, like how they shift. I think D-line, I mean, it's pretty simple. Like you're either rushing the passer, or, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like I think Robert Quinn's just obviously a way better player than Leonard Floyd. So obviously they're going to be a pretty good force as a pass rushing unit there as those three.
I get what your point with chemistry, because like on the defensive line, you need just somebody to wreak havoc. You don't necessarily have to be on the same page. Obviously, you have your stunts as you perform on the D line, but that doesn't mean anything. You still have to. It's a one-on-one battle with you and the lineman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Should be, if healthy, a pretty dominant force. Once again, next question. At 2020_Broncos. Rank the second-year quarterbacks by how you think they will do this year. So that includes Kyler Murray, Drew Lock, Dwayne Haskins, Daniel Jones, Gardner Minshew, I believe is all. So yeah, rank those quarterbacks based on how they will do this season.
Kyler Murray 1.
Okay.
Drew Lock number 2.
Drew Lock number 2.
All right.
Daniel Jones number 3.
No. I mean, this is gonna be wild here. I'm gonna go Darnold and then Daniel Jones.
Darnold's not a second-year quarterback. We're talking.
Didn't you read them off?
No.
Gardner Minshew. You're getting mixed
Gardner
up with
Minshew.
and Darnold
Gardner Minshew.
and Haskins.
Haskins at the bottom.
No, I'm putting Gardner Minshew at the bottom.
I'll put Minshew at the bottom, yeah, and I'm putting
I'll
Haskins,
put Haskins
at 4th.
below him.
All right.
Daniel Jones is 3rd.
We're getting confusing here. What's your rankings? Just give me your rankings.
We're making a community list. Community list.
Not an
Murray, Lock, Daniel Jones, Haskins, Minshew.
Done. Easy. Lock it up.
Done.
Same thing. Swap my bottom 2.
No, I'm doing the same thing, but we're swapping Haskins and Daniel Jones. I got Haskins at number 3 over Daniel Jones. Little bold. I'm going a little bold.
Okay.
I think if
That's
you're
a
the
little more than a
Jaguars,
little bold.
you're hoping that Gardner Minshew does not do well, so you get the first pick in the draft.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, I don't think that's what they're thinking, but okay, yeah.
Oh no, it definitely is.
All right. Okay.
Trust me.
All right. Jose 615-93784. That's his handle for Twitter. Top 5 defenses 2020. So top of our heads right now because we didn't prepare for this. Top 5 defenses.
Does it have to be in order, or can we just name what the top 5 would be?
Just
I'm not going to do.
name the top 5.
I'm just going to do what comes to my head.
Yeah, and just give one team the crown though. Give us your number after you name the 5. Then just pick one to be the best. How about that?
All right, easy crown going to the Bears. I'm biased. I don't care. Ravens, gonna go with the Broncos. What else you guys got?
We got let me just rattle some teams off. Not my top 5, just teams we can consider. You said Bears, Ravens, Broncos, Bills will be up there. The 49ers will be up there again. The Chargers will be up there. Steelers for sure. The Redskins could be a sneaky one. They can be real sneaky this year. What else we got here? There's a lot of teams that could fight for that spot, for the top 5 spots. And the Patriots were last year. I think they lost a bit though. Packers could be kind of sneaky. They got some holes.
Don't say that.
I just like their pass rush, and I like Kenny
Don't
Clark.
say
And their
that.
secondary is pretty good. Jair Alexander, Kevin King, Darnell Savage, Adrian Amos. The secondary is looking pretty good. They just don't have D-line help for Kenny Clark, and they need inside linebacker help. But I'm going to say, I think in no order, just top of my head, top 5, Bears, Chargers, Bills, Broncos, and who gets that 5 spot? It's between
Ravens, in my opinion.
Steelers, Ravens. I just worry about the Ravens pass
The Bucks
rush.
are a good D too.
Yeah, I like the Bucks. I wouldn't put it top 5. Yeah, people give me smack when I hype up the Bucks defense, but it's a pretty good defense. I probably wouldn't put it top 5 though. So I said Bears, Chargers, Bills, Broncos, probably.
Steelers.
I was thinking Steelers, but Bud Dupree had a pretty wild year last year. I don't know if he maybe he does it again. Perhaps. I think the secondary played better than it probably will this year as well. Maybe the Redskins. The Redskins maybe maybe they sneak in there. I think the pass rush can be ridiculous. So I'll pick those 5 for now. And I'll give the crown to the
Bears.
I don't know. I don't know. It's tough.
He's not denying it.
I'm not denying.
It's true.
It.
I like the Niners. I like the Niners.
I didn't say the Niners for the 5. Yeah, forget the Redskins, put the Niners in there. But for number 1, I mean the Bills is the most balanced. But then you got teams like the Bears and the Broncos. They're going to get ridiculous pass rush. I think it's tough. It's tough to pick one. You know what? I might go Chargers. Get the number 1 because I think they're pretty balanced as well. Yeah, that's I'll go Chargers.
Pete?
It's so hard to pick 5. I don't know.
Well, how about your crown? What's your crown at?
That's even hard too. I don't know. I like the Niners defense. I think they could do everything really. I mean, we saw they give up a lot of points to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but
that's the Chiefs.
It's the Chiefs, but
Chiefs.
The Chiefs defense can be sneaky too.
Chiefs defense, yeah. I don't know. I like the Steelers too. Niners, Steelers are probably the top for me. And then Ravens, Bills, Bears.
Was everybody else?
I'll support it.
I'm with Dan there with the Bears. And I mean, I don't think they're gonna be the same level as they were 2 years ago in terms of takeaways, but their pass rush is better than it was 2 years ago. And I think the pass rush is debatably the best in the league. And a high caliber pass rush can cover up a bunch of mistakes because I don't think they have the strongest secondary, but I definitely the skill set of everyone, their jobs just get easier with a good pass rush in front of you. I don't know. I think the Ravens are they always just have such a good next man up mentality. It's crazy. They'll lose names and then they'll just, I don't know.
As far as the rest of my list, I would definitely agree. Bills, Niners, Steelers. Gotta have my Steelers in there.
Gotta have them.
Those are not your Steelers.
Might be.
Next question, we got DeQuanta Clark at Quanta12345656. A lot of numbers in people's handles. Do you think Lamar Jackson is James Harden of NBA, good regular season player? Interesting.
He's not lefty though.
And he doesn't flop. I haven't seen him flop yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen him flop. I think he's welcoming the contact. No, I
think
think
they can catch him.
Well, I mean, Lamar played one playoff game 2 years ago, and the play calling was absolutely horrendous, absolutely terrible. Lamar didn't play his game. The system wasn't in place yet, so I'm not counting the 2 years ago. Last year, the Titans game planned very well for them. I think there was some big time throws early that Lamar did his job. I don't think his whole unit, because I think Mark Andrews kind of let him down as well, but the whole receiver unit kind of hurt him. He did miss some throws too, but I am definitely not even close to being ready to say he can't take the leap in the playoffs. I think for everybody, regular season is going to be easier, so he's going to look better in the regular season. It's rare for guys to look that much better in the playoffs. Tom Brady, only the GOAT, so it's understandable. So I think too early, and it's something I'm not worried about. I think he definitely can win because of him in the playoffs. James Harden, comparing him to Harden, that's tough. I'm not a big James Harden fan. I don't know. Just never been a fan of his game. It's tough to compare them because it's two different sports, but I wouldn't compare them. I don't know. And not that James Harden can't win in the playoffs, but I just wouldn't compare him. I don't know. That's just my take.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's too early to write off Lamar Jackson as someone who just chokes or doesn't perform in the playoffs. But you do have to worry about I think the Ravens are going to be a really good team. I think I mean, they just draft so well, and they have really good coaches over there, and they have a lot of talent. But like, you do worry, like, do the Titans like kind of like expose them and like show? I think Lamar was off his game, and like so were the receivers. But like, I think they had a really good game plan, kind of showed like
Yeah.
how to stop that offense. So you kind of have to worry about that a little bit. I think I'm not bashing the Ravens at all. I think they're going to be I think they're going to be a contender this year. But like, you just worry about if they can make it to like the Super Bowl if like that game plan's kind of out on them.
Yeah, people always forget like the game plan factor. Like I think there's always unique offenses that get figured out, and people like forget that because. But if you look back, like each of these teams, like these teams that played the Ravens, they only got one crack at them. It was tough to game plan. They only got one crack at them. They want another chance at them. The divisional teams got to play them twice. Another year playing them again, watching the film, teams playing them for the first time. That's why I'm not saying it'll happen with the Ravens because game planning against Lamar Jackson is one thing, stopping him is a totally a different thing. Because I don't think you get the comparison to Michael Vick. I really don't think there has been a Lamar Jackson ever. So. It's another level of stopping him or slowing him down, but it happens all the time. Yeah, teams start to figure things out, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I can compare them in the sense that they're both players that are like changing the game and how it's played. Yeah, I can take that
True.
stretch, but that's kind of about it.
You could compare them,
Like-
I guess, in a way that all these players are in the NFL because they're confident in themselves, but these are two players that are very, very confident in themselves. Like Lamar Jackson, kind of even when he doesn't really he'll actually throw the ball. So don't get me wrong here. I think people make that mistake. Like he wants to pass the ball, but he's a guy that will, if something's not open, he won't wait for it to open up. He'll trust himself. Same with James Harden. We see him take how many shots a game. These guys trust themselves tremendously, which is a good thing. So you can compare them in that way, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving on to the next question here. We got JJ Domination on YouTube at _Jeffrey. Biggest riser for fantasy football. Also, who is your biggest regression candidate for fantasy football? Ooh.
It's a good question.
It's a good looking question.
Riser, Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I mean he was pretty good last year too. I think Chris Godwin was top tier last year, but I think it's even safer.
What a pick by me, huh?
Yeah, but too bad I beat you in the finals, huh?
Oh,
That is bad.
Yeah, I drafted
that was
Antonio
bad.
Brown too, like an idiot. So, and I still won it. But yeah, I think Godwin could even take another step up. But somebody that's that's not really answering the question though. Who's the biggest riser? Biggest riser. It's something I got to think about, or something.
Yeah,
that's
Riser's tough.
Baker.
Yeah, Baker could. I mean, he puts up fantasy numbers anyway. But yeah, as far as Riser taking that next step, I would say Baker.
just gonna throw a random one out there. We'll see how you guys react. How about Kenyon Drake?
Whoa! No, I'm kidding.
Whoa.
That's a good one.
I think he could just be a
He's
beast.
just the guy. What about David Johnson? Now he's the Texans guy. New place, didn't really fit Kingsbury offense. I'm not a huge David Johnson guy, but I think he'll improve.
They're gonna have to
fantasy.
rely on him. Definitely rely on him.
Yeah.
That's a good segue to my biggest regression player would be. Oh my god, I just blanked. Holy shit.
You're gonna say Deshaun Watson.
My bad. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Watson. Watson would be. I literally had it right here. Watson would be because he's. I mean, he doesn't have DeAndre Hopkins, and Will Fuller gets
Or
hurt.
you could pull a booger
So-
and call him Deshaun Hopkins.
Deshaun
I'm
Hopkins.
confusing myself right now.
I'd rather forget what I'm talking about than
DeAndre
say the wrong player's name.
Watson.
He said Deshaun Hopkins and DeAndre Watson. He just
Deshaun Hopkins, man.
That's why he's no longer on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I think
man.
Watson's going to take I should say a huge regression, but it's very possible. He doesn't have the best receiver in the game anymore. They're going to have to lean on David Johnson a lot.
I like how the Texans went from a team that like had everything but a quarterback to now the opposite. You just completely flipped the script on how they want to.
They got some solid players still.
Yeah, but nothing like they've had.
Well, I think
Traded
like,
away debatably the best receiver
like
in the league.
Brandon Cooks even could be a riser because he's got to be
yeah.
the number one receiver, even though Will Fuller can be. You just can't really trust the health. Maybe Cooks, you worry about his health too, but I trust Cooks' health a little more. But yeah, their mentality is just like the deep speed, and that's what they get with Brandon Cooks. So I think he'll be a little more trustworthy than he was in the Rams, perhaps, because there's so many guys splitting on the Rams. So that is a good one. I think a lot of these rookie running backs could do some damage. But yeah,
I was thinking a lot of like, I don't know. I mean, thinking like fantasy, thinking like, what position do you want to draft first?
Well, Pete, I'm
running
not
back.
going to just give you my drafting board.
Whoa,
Kidding me?
Running back or
come on.
receiver?
I see what you're trying to do, Pete.
I'm
You're
just
sneaky.
thinking.
I see what
I'm
you're
just
trying to
thinking
do.
running backs. That's why I like threw Kenyon Drake. But I was like thinking second year guys too. Like I think Devin Singletary's going to take off this year.
Well,
Saw it at
like
the end.
Pete. One second.
You
Let me
saw
get
at
my
the end of the
notepad.
year. I think Miles Sanders is going to have a pretty good year this year too, and he could catch the ball out of the backfield. So I think he'd be a pretty good
I think
sleep or a pretty good riser.
late round running back that would have a good season would be David Montgomery too. I mean, they had no game plan last season. Obviously, they didn't know how to run the ball, but I think that's also because we had Mitch, who they had to scrap basically everything. So I think David Montgomery could have a better year. I'm not going to say a huge riser, but he might be worth a bench player.
I think the two last year rookie Ole Miss receivers. I mean, both of them, DK Metcalf, AJ Brown. It took a little bit for them to really get. We saw DK early, but they both really got going at the end of the year. So now that their team knows what they're capable of, now that they're full-time guys playing all the time, I think they're gonna have way bigger numbers this year. So
Yeah, I think
yeah.
AJ is going to be a beast, obviously, but I think just like his numbers are just weird when you look at him. He had like 50 something catches, but he had 1,000 yards. Like his average was just ridiculous.
It
So
wasn't
like
gonna factor
obviously,
until pretty much Tannehill came in
yeah,
either.
obviously he's gonna. Well, the Falcons game with Mariota, he was really good. He had 2 touchdowns, but he, I think his average is obviously gonna go down, but like he's gonna get way more than 50 receptions this next year. It's gonna be ridiculous.
Tyler Boyd with Joe Burrow. That's like his Justin Jefferson, that new school slot receiver. I think he'll get a lot of targets from Joe Burrow. That's a good one. But yeah. Somebody commented Jordan Howard. Yeah, he could be the starting back for Jordan Howard, and Matt Breida should be the backs for the Dolphins. That could be an interesting one as well. Next question from Alex Wright. Alex JL Wright is the handle for Twitter. Who out of Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, or Baker Mayfield will emerge as the best quarterback after this year?
We know Junior's answer.
Easy.
Okay, Junior, get it over with.
Okay.
Okay,
Baker,
what?
we know. Okay, we know
Just
how
say it.
high I am on Baker.
You had him as number 5 on your quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, but I explained it. I explained it.
Did you?
I'm gonna go. I think between Baker and Josh Allen, that's close. Like that's
a
honestly
lot
a
of
close.
Darnold
You had
believers
Josh
out there.
Allen as your number 5.
Right, and he's going
That means
to.
Baker's number 6.
Baker's number
Josh
6.
Allen is in a division where he's going to be able to perform better. It's just it's just kind of a given.
I think clear cut the best quarterback out of the 3, just based on talent. I think's Baker Mayfield. But to answer the question, I'm picking Josh Allen because I think he's just going to play much better just because what's around him. And I know Mayfield has some weapons. I still worry about the offensive line, even though it improved. I still really worry about the offensive line. But Stefanski's offense, which it could work out. They have the running backs, they have the tight ends. It's a lot of small ball. Mayfield will have some crazy big play, kind of like Cousins did, but it was like here and there out of the play action. I don't think that'll be enough. Josh Allen with an improving offensive line, a good offensive line, a lot of weapons, adding Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen will look, and that's what matters most, off of who will, I guess, play the best no matter what's around him. I think Josh Allen will be the best one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Baker.
Yeah, I'm going with Baker as well.
The offensive room around him is a lot better. I'm chalking up last year to a sophomore slump.
I think so too.
And he had a case of the Freddies.
The Freddies.
It's true.
I'm not a big Josh Allen believer yet. And yeah, I think Gase is kind of like ruining Darnold.
Well, darn,
But
seeing some ghosts too. That doesn't help.
yeah, but I think Gase is helping him see the ghost. I think it's the smelling salts or something. But
Mm.
perhaps, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you like measure. I mean, how do you measure who's the better quarterback though? I mean, everyone uses records. Like if you're gonna go by records, you're gonna go. You're probably
We're
gonna
going
have
off
to go
by
with.
wins. We're going by wins.
That's what I'm
We're not
saying. Like,
going.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, you have to go with Josh Allen then because his division is just soft.
Well, wins,
Oh.
production, play. I think Josh Allen's just gonna.
Kind of mad that Riz just like asked Danny which fan base. This is like go back to earlier. Which fan base like has been driving him nuts? I thought he was gonna ask everyone. Like I think
Well, he goes to the games.
The Bills fans are kind of driving me nuts. I don't know. Like they're just talking a lot and think they already have the division won.
They're
I'm just
yapping.
saying they already
They
think
pretty
they
much
have the
do, though,
division
let's be
won.
honest
I
here.
know, but like it's just a soft division. I don't know.
It's the
They're-
Bills Mafias.
Yeah, but
I
that
know.
defense is going to be
I
pretty
know.
damn good.
Well, I
Their
just had to
offense
get it out
took
there.
a bunch of strides.
I just had to get it out there. I mean, I could easily pick teams from my team's division because they're always in the mentions, bashing all my Titan stuff. But it's just, I don't know. The Bills fans are just, they already think they're in the
Ruthless.
playoffs, and it's already like they're already in there, and
Playoffs?
they have a shot. They already have a shot. We're already talking playoffs.
Playoffs.
Playoffs?
All right. Ricardo Moya, Rick A. Moya is the handle. Howdy from Phoenix, Arizona.
Howdy.
Howdy. Top 5 offense and best defense predictions of the season coming up. Thanks in advance. Well, you're welcome. We talked about the defenses from somebody else's question there. So now we're going with the offenses. I mean, I think we're all in agreement with the Chiefs at number 1.
Yeah.
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 The Ravens might be number 2.
But that's like a number 2 that has potential to be a number 1.
Yeah. I mean, then it's a battle between. I mean, you got the Bucks may be up there, the Saints probably be up there. What else we got here? We got. Trying to think top of my head here. Wild card could be. I talk about the wild card for the defense. Same thing. The Packers. Their offense was a little disappointing last year, but if Rodgers kind of steps up, the Packers could get back up there. Looking at Eagles could be a sneaky one. Wentz has got to stay healthy. The Seahawks usually statistically aren't up there, but they definitely can be. And then who I'm trying to think NFC teams right now. Cowboys, statistically definitely up there. Now they have Mike McCarthy. And then from the AFC, we talked about the Chiefs. We talked about the Ravens. I mean, Steelers got Big Ben back. They remember how high-powered their offense was. Maybe it won't be when they had Big Ben, but maybe it won't be quite that good. But it can be a sneaky good offense. And then you're looking at, sneaky teams: Colts, Broncos, a lot of sneaky teams.
What are you on the Titans?
Titans. I mean, statistically, are they gonna? I mean, they were actually at the end of last year.
Yeah, they were. They were second. They were second in explosive plays, and then also. When Tannehill took over, they had the most yards per play last season, and actually the second most in NFL history behind the greatest show on turf.
Yeah.
So,
I think there's a clear top 3 in my opinion. I think Chiefs, Ravens, Bucks would be my 3. If I have to go 4 or 5, that's tough. Probably Saints, and probably. It's tough. It's probably the Cardinals. Honestly, the Cardinals will probably get a lot of production from their offense this year. Cardinals got to be top 5. Yeah. I almost put the Cardinals at 4 actually after the first 3 that I named. I think looking at their schedule, pretty favorable schedule for them, pretty good one. Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, that spread attack. Teams aren't used to that. Still a lot of old school defensive coordinators. It's going to be very tough to game plan against that offense. And I think they're going to put up some big number, adding DeAndre Hopkins, having Kenyon Drake, like the identity that Drake is their guy all times. So yeah, I think the Cardinals definitely make the top 5. So I kind of like that one. What about you guys? What are you thinking?
I mean, on paper, you can say the Browns should be able to if they perform.
I just think too much running the ball, which they'll be good running the ball, but I just don't know if there's enough explosive passing plays, which I think they're capable of. Baker,
Right.
Odell. I just need to see more from Stefanski to kind of trust that. Felt like he was kind of holding back on that in Minnesota, like because they would have the big plays here and there, and they would kind of go away from it for so long and get super conservative. So I do worry about that, but the talent's definitely there.
I might lean with Junior on that on those Browns there. I mean, they're not going to be. They're in the 5-6 range, sleeper possibly. I could honestly see the Ravens. I mean, we talked about it before, like game planning and understanding what's coming, and there's a difference between game planning and stopping what's coming. But I think it's possible that you could see the Ravens kind of be a little bit slowed down this year. Is that going to result them into not being in the top 5 offense? I don't know, but I think it's certainly possible.
I got two wild card teams, two similar teams. I think the Broncos and the Bills. I think if it depends on Drew Lock and it depends on Josh Allen, but you look what's around them. Drew Lock, I think both quarterbacks kind of got that gunslinger mentality. They really can get the ball downfield. They can throw on the run, and they actually can move themselves in and out of the pocket and downfield. But you look at what's around them. Look at the Broncos that we talked about earlier in this episode. The Broncos running back duo. People are going to be worried about that running game, but then you look at the receiver unit, you look at Cortland Sutton, you look at Jerry Jeudy, you look at KJ Hamler. I mean, the talent, the speed, how are teams going to divide that up from their corners, their coverages, and the tight ends even. Noah Fant, Albert O, who's familiar with Drew Lock, of course. It's kind of on Drew Lock. It's kind of on the offensive line. But if you trust those things, if you're confident in those things, then yes, they definitely can be. And same, Josh Allen's improving. He's kind of known as a raw quarterback coming out of Wyoming. Like everyone's like, this guy's going to be pretty good, but it's going to take some time. And I think he's already past that point. I think he's further along, I should say. He's further along than we expected. Now he has Stephon Diggs. He's got some young guys that are stepping up. The offensive line's improving. So I think those two teams could be they could be sneaky. To me, it's not that sneaky, though. I think it's definitely realistic.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Next one, Kyler Murray for MVP is the Twitter, @RedSeaSeason. Who will be the most disappointing team receiving a lot of hype this offseason? So
the Cardinals. Boom. Roasted.
Are they receiving a lot of hype, though?
In a small amount of hype, I would say. I think they're gonna be good. I shouldn't say that.
Who's the Browns of last year?
I mean, the Buccaneers are getting a lot of hype, but I think it's deserving. There's a lot of talented guys there, a talented team, talented coaching staff. So I don't think the Bucs will disappoint. Maybe somebody else thinks so. Who else is getting hype? I mean, the Colts might be getting a little bit of hype. Phillip Rivers behind that offensive line. Adding Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman in the draft. I don't know if there's that many teams getting a lot of hype.
I talked about the Bills. I'm just keep bashing the Bills. I mean, I think they're gonna win the division.
He's just asking for in his mentions right now.
He's really asking for it.
I guess.
He's usually the one complimenting the Bills, so we're good. We're okay. We're gonna offset.
I'm telling them they're gonna win the division. Like, they already know they're gonna win the division.
Oh, right.
But again, it's a soft division. I think they're gonna be in for a rude awakening when they get to the playoffs, depending on who they're matched up with.
What if it's the Texans again?
On a Saturday afternoon game.
I don't know. I don't think the Texans are gonna make the playoffs, but I'm just saying I think there's just better teams. Like they're gonna be a 3 or a 4 seed, but I think they're gonna get upset. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna even be I don't know if you're calling an upset really, but they're the higher seed. But I think there's gonna be a better team that they're gonna be matched up against in the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if a lot of teams are getting that much hype really.
I was just kind of nitpicking there.
Yeah.
Who will be the most disappointing team receiving a lot of hype this offseason? I don't know. I just don't think there's enough. I think for the most part, most of the people think it's going to be pretty much the same teams, which it really never is. I think people are throwing the Bucs in there for playoffs, which makes sense. But other than that, I think people seem to be talking like it could be the same teams. I know people are starting to believe that the Steelers could sneak back in, the Broncos can sneak in, the Cardinals can sneak in. Maybe the people think the Rams can get back there. But I don't know if there's a lot of – the Colts too. I don't know if there's a lot of hype, though, so that's a tough one. We got Preston Stutzman @PrestonStutzman2. Do you think the Jags will trade Minshew if they get Lawrence? If so, what team and what would they get for him? So we're going way ahead here. So this person's saying – basically the scenario. The Jags get the first pick. They get Trevor Lawrence from Clemson. Do you think the Jags will trade Gardner Minshew?
Let me break this down real quick.
Can I say something?
No,
Trust me.
Trust me.
Can I say something?
If the Jags are going to be getting the first pick of the draft because of Minshew, nobody's going to want Minshew.
No.
There we go.
Come on, Dan. You have to say it.
Everyone knows it.
We're all
thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't. To add on top of that, I don't know if the Jags will be going out of their way to trade him because it's a really cheap contract. Keep him as a backup. I think
he'd be a good backup.
Yeah, I think a team would have to be dying to get him, and I don't think, like Danny said, I don't think that's going to happen. So, yeah, that answers that one. We got Michael Vogel, Michael87463249 is the handle. Do you think the Texans? Thank you. Do you think the Texans' offense will be more efficient with Deshaun being forced to spread the ball and not stare down Hopkins on just about every play? I'll start this one off. I don't think so. I don't think. I mean, I'm not saying it won't be better for sure. Like, it could be because Deshaun Watson's still young, still getting better, still learning the NFL offense. So they could be better, actually, without DeAndre Hopkins. But that's just because I just pulled a booger. Deshaun Watson is.
He did it. He did it.
All right, that's going to do it for the podcast. Deshaun Watson is just improving because he's that good of a player. So I can see them being better, but because of that, not because he's forced to spread the ball out more. I think they wanted to spread the ball out more. Will Fuller wasn't there. Will Fuller could not be there. Maybe he's not there again. They're forced to look at Cooks. Maybe Cooks is hurt. They're forced to look elsewhere. So I don't think that really changes much. I'll say this. If Fuller and Brandon Cooks are healthy, both of them healthy 100%, so this might be a little bold, but I don't think so. If Fuller and Cooks are 100% healthy the whole year, I think that passing attack is better. I think it's better. But that's a last.
Now that's bold. Now that's fashion.
But remember when Fuller was in versus Fuller out? Like, that deep threat was ridiculous. Like, it fits that offense so good. Now you have two of them, Fuller, Cooks. I'm thinking most likely at least one of them is going to miss some time. They both might miss some time just based on their past. I hate saying it. But if Fuller and Cooks are healthy 100% of the time, you have that speed, I think they'll be better. So that's.
It depends on what he's looking for here by saying more efficient. I don't know. It'll be more balanced. Like, the ball will be spread out more, like he's saying. But I don't know if it's gonna be better though. So I don't know what he means by more efficient. If you guys get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think he just means more efficient, Pete.
Yeah, I think it's just more efficient. I just answered the damn
question. Well, you guys were like silent. I don't know.
I was trying to make it more awkward than it needed to be, Pete.
Yeah, what? Yeah, you guys made it awkward. I was just trying to...
Good.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, I guess so. You guys just seem to know what he means. I'm not really sure if it's if the offense will be better or if the ball will be spread out more.
Yeah, well, answer both questions. You can answer both.
The ball will be spread out more, but I don't think it's gonna be better.
Okay. I don't think it's Pete on that one.
Deshaun,
he doesn't have the greatest wide receiver in the league.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Deshaun Watson, if he's in trouble or needs a first down or something, he's looking at DeAndre Hopkins and he has a chance of making the play happen. He doesn't have that anymore. And then Hopkins also takes pressure off of other receivers. You saw their tight ends were making lots of big plays for them and scoring a lot of touchdowns for them because as soon as they get in the red zone, Hopkins is getting all the attention. Watson just finds other people.
Okay. Next one, we got Matt Lude. Matt Lude 17 is the handle. Where does the Colts defense stack up against other premier defenses around the league? I'm gonna say it doesn't. I don't know if
a lot of people do. A lot of people think. Okay. A lot of people think they do, but they got some big players, some big time players on their team, but there's also just a lot of guys that are just kind of average.
I kind of worry about the cornerback unit. Was it going to be Rock Ya-Sin and Xavier Rhodes for the most part? I think. Safety. If Malik Hooker's healthy, I like Malik Hooker, but I kind of worry about that secondary. But then the secondary could be covered up if you have a pretty damn good pass rush. I think it's an inconsistent pass rush. They get a lot better with DeForest Buckner. There's some young guys that can step up, but I mean, they have Justin Houston, but I mean, how much do you expect from him? Now, I expect good play, but I just don't think they have enough of a consistent pass rush to keep the secondary consistent. I like the linebacker unit mainly because Darius Leonard's you could argue he's an elite linebacker. I mean, just the amount of talent he has, like different things he can do. I think that's why you definitely consider that. I think just like the last couple of years, I think there's going to be weeks where the Colts defense looks like top 5, and there's going to be weeks where it looks like bottom 10. I think that's what we're going to see. I think I think some young guys got to step up. I mean, they got some young pass rushers that could, guys like Teray, Banogu, but I just don't. It's not consistent enough. That's my problem. They got some, like Pete said, they got some studs there, but yeah, I don't know where I would rank it. I would have to like sit down and actually evaluate the defenses, rank them.
They're top half for sure.
Top half?
Like top half in the league. Top 16.
It's close. That's close. I don't know. I would have to sit down and figure that out, but around there, I'd say.
You'd have to crunch the numbers, you're saying?
I would have to crunch the number. No, there's no numbers. I just think about each team in the NFL where I would rank them, which I'll do eventually on YouTube there.
While in the shower?
No, I won't be in the shower. Well, I'd be thinking about it maybe in the shower.
Yes, right. You'll be thinking about them.
And then Jerry Jones will be thinking about the goat house while in the shower as well.
That'd
next,
be kind of cool.
Gamer J64, where and when do you think Leonard Fournette and Yannick Ngakoue get traded? And if so, for how much? It's a good-looking question. That's a tough one to answer, though. That's tough. It's kind of surprising they haven't got traded yet. Jags might be playing hardball. I think Fournette stays on the Jags this year. I'm going to say that. I think Fournette remains a Jaguar and probably gets the majority, even though he doesn't want to be there. They kind of looking to trade him. I think he gets majority of the snaps. Yannick Ngakoue. I think Ngakoue is actually traded. Ooh, it's tough. He's traded by the trade deadline, I think. But that's the latest, I think, which is halfway through the season, a little before. I think maybe he could be traded for before the season starts, actually, because there's a couple teams that are still pretty desperate for pass rush. We really don't know the Clowney situation. The teams could be kind of waiting on him. There could be multiple teams kind of still wanting him. We really don't know. It doesn't really feel like that, but that could be the case. And if a team that desperately needs pass rush doesn't get that pass rusher, Everson Griffin's out there as well. If they miss on those guys, they could trade for Yannick Ngakoue, because pass rush after quarterback, you look at quarterback protection and pass rush, most important things in football, most impactful things in football, game-changing, things in the game, with any game, especially the playoffs down the stretch, the teams that want to make that extra step to win, maybe get to the Super Bowl, those teams could be looking to trade for Yannick Ngakoue. Or when do you think? Where? Yeah, again, I think Fournette remains. They probably get a compensatory pick after the season. Ngakoue, Giants, Jets, Seahawks. Apparently the Browns tried to sign Clowney. Maybe they'll be interested in, trying to get Ngakoue. So, maybe those teams, the ones I think, and for how much, I think, God, I don't know, maybe a first-round maximum for Ngakoue, maybe if it's not a first, it's going to be a lot of picks, probably a second, third, another mid. I don't know. Anybody?
I got a question. I got a question.
Yeah.
If both are traded, who gives them more value in terms of what they can get for? But then in the same way, like I don't know. I feel like they're gonna one of them they're gonna end up kind of just like settling and just to get rid of.
So you're saying?
Because there's always like who do they trade if they're trading both? Who do they get?
What do they get?
Their most value for?
Ngakoue will bring in more value, pass rusher over running back. But I think to answer your other question, I think they will be easier to let go of Ngakoue. Because maybe Fournette's more valuable to them because they really don't have any other running back options. Ngakoue, really good pass rusher, worth more because he's a pass rusher rather than a running back. But they have Josh Allen and Klayvon Chase on a pretty good pass rush duo now. So I think the Ngakoue situation's, pretty. I don't know how to explain it. It's really not good.
Fluid. It's fluid.
They don't like each other. One bit. So I think, and he's pretty clear he's not going to play for them. So I think he will bring in more value, but that'll be the one that's just all right. Just trade him, like kind of what you were saying, just like easier to get rid of, just to let go of. I think because I think they could very much want to use Leonard Fournette. So that's my take on that. I don't know.
If they trade both, we could almost guarantee that they're going for the first pick. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I don't think they plan on Ngakoue playing anyways. Fournette. Yeah, they don't really have much of a running back to trade Fournette, so that could be accurate. Yeah,
I think they're gonna get less value on both players than they actually initially thought. I think that's how a lot of trades work out. But I think it'll be kind of like the Trent Williams situation, especially with Ngakoue. The longer they wait, the less they're gonna get for him. I feel like.
True. Yeah.
Okay.
Next question is from @Austin93097475. Pick Favo is the Twitter. Who will have a more successful season without their star receiver? Vikings, Jets, or Texans? So the Vikings lost
Jets.
Stephon Diggs. The Jets lost Robbie Anderson. Texans lost
Jets.
DeAndre Hopkins. Jets who will have a more successful season without their star?
Jets. Well, yeah, I don't like it because how do you measure success? It's like we were talking about with the
wins.
Yeah, it's a weird question because so Junior.
So you think the Jets? Do you think the Jets are a better team than the Vikings
No.
and the Texans?
I am not. I'm confused why the Jets were included in the question. I'm not saying the Jets are my answer. I'm just confused why Hopkins.
Let me change the wording.
I'm confused why Robbie Anderson is put in that category.
Well,
that's true.
Let me reword the question. Let me rephrase.
That's a fair point.
Which I think how he wanted to put it. Who will miss their best receiver the most? Will the Vikings miss Stephon Diggs the most? Will the Jets miss Robbie Anderson the most? Will the Texans miss DeAndre Hopkins the most?
I think it's Hopkins easy.
I think it's Hopkins easy.
I think so too.
I would say probably the Jets second because they got really no one else. I guess they got somebody in the draft, but overall,
I'm going off of how many times Hopkins bailed him out. They don't have that
I think
anymore.
too.
I think the answer. Well, yeah, the answer is definitely not the Jets because I don't think. They have Denzel Mims now. They got Nwumwa coming back. They got some other Crowder. Those guys aren't too far off from Robbie Anderson. I think there's just not enough impact from Robbie Anderson compared to DeAndre Hopkins and Thielen, or Diggs. I think. So Vikings versus Texans, I think it comes down to health. Like I said, if Cooks and Fuller stay healthy. They actually could be better just because they fit the system more and they got two of those threats, but I don't know if they will stay healthy. And you look at the Vikings, you could say, yeah, maybe they're okay because they add Justin Jefferson. They still got Thielen. They got Justin Jefferson. They added some other guy. Their actual unit might be better. But if you remember, Thielen was pretty beat up last year, missed a lot of games that hurt them. If Thielen gets hurt again, they are really, really going to miss Diggs. So, I think, the easier answer is probably the Texans. Because they got two injury receivers, to step up. The Vikings, I guess, got one. So I guess I would agree with you guys there. And then the last question, long podcast episode, a lot of good questions here. From Caden Nielsen. Caden Nielsen 4 is the Twitter handle. Do you think the Cowboys will ever get over the hump? Will they do it?
Well, they got to sign Dak first. You got to sign Dak first.
If they sign Dak.
I think it'll happen.
What's the hump?
It's when Jerry Jones is thinking in the shower about humping the Super Bowl trophy in the shower.
On his yacht.
Yeah.
Do we get the camera on him, like the draft for him on his yacht?
Hopefully not. That's too many wrinkles.
Yeah, that'd be. Yeah, that's a bad visual.
I think the hump for me, the problem with the Cowboys is they'll go on a stretch of 4 games and look fantastic, and then they'll go on a stretch of 4 games, look like one of the worst teams in the league, and then it'll kind of be back and forth. The next game great, next game bad. It feels like the same exact thing every single year. They bring in Mike McCarthy. I think, Dak's, quarterback, what's quarterback prime? Probably 30, 33 even, up to there, 34 even. You see some good quarterbacks playing at a high level there. So, Dak's still in the 20s there. I think I think they should be getting better. I wasn't a fan of their free agency. Love the draft. Free agency, let some guys walk. And then it didn't really improve. They added some pieces, but I can't really say they improved. So I think they need to do a little better in free agency. The draft really helped them. Like I said, Dak, as long as he signs, should be getting better kind of by just upside default. But they did pretty well in the draft too. So I think they will get over the hump. Will it be this year? It's going to be a close call. I think by next season they get over that hump. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, that's fair. That's being kind of nice of them. I'll take it.
All right. I think we can wrap it up. That was a long podcast.
Yeah, I got to rock a piss really bad.
Yeah, so do I, actually. I almost went midway through. I got to stop talking. That's gonna.
You guys can go together.
Well, we're not in the same house right now, so we can't. That's going to do it for this week's episode. We'll be back almost every single week with a new episode here for the Goat House Podcast. You can search us on Twitter and on YouTube. We have 2 YouTube channels. Please subscribe, follow, join us next time. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.